Here on Annie's YouTube channel. Make sure I'm live. It looks like I'm live. Okay, so thank you for joining me today here on Annie's YouTube channel. And remember, I'm here every week at Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so you can join me live. Or if you're not available, you can always watch the replay. But if you're here live, let me know in the comments where you're joining from and say hello, what your name is. So I have kind of a longish tutorial for you today. So I probably will dive right in, but I just want to tell you a couple things before I flip my phone and we get started. So the tutorial I'm going to show you today is called the Blue Hawaii Scarf, and that is from the summer issue of Crochet magazine. And let me show you the actual scarf. It's a really pretty pineapple stitch scarf. Here's a photo of it. So I'm trying to get that close up so you can see. It's like a nice mesh, lightweight, summery scarf with a really beautiful pineapple motif that's just kind of set inside there, and it's built into the design. Really, really pretty. So let me get to my other page so we can work through this pattern. But before I do this pattern, I want to show you that I also received my Crochet World magazine, and this is the June issue. So this one just came out. If you're a subscriber, maybe you got yours now. I just got mine last week, so if you didn't get it, you'll probably get it here soon. But this has a lot of really fun summer patterns. There's blankets in here. There's a couple garments, my favorite things, and there's a few fun things for the home, like pot holders and things like that. So make sure you check this out, and I'll put a link in the description if you don't have the June Crochet World yet. So let me get to my Blue Hawaii scarf, and as you can see, my magazine is kind of falling apart. I've been working out of this one a lot since I got it. I've been making a lot of things from this one, so it's falling apart a little bit from a lot of use. So I don't see anybody here yet, but I'm going to get started. But like I said, just let me know you're here when you join. Leave me a comment, and let me show you how far I've gotten on my scarf so far. So see how, now that it's close up, you can see how pretty those pineapple motifs are, and they're just sort of set in, so it goes like, it alternates. So on one area you have the two pineapples, and then you have the one pineapple, and all this is a nice mesh on the sides. Okay guys, let me move my phone so I can show you how to make this pretty scarf. Perfect. Hold on here, there we go. Okay. Now you can really see this close up. Here's the pineapples, and then there's some fans or V-stitches on the side, and then there's like a mesh in between. So I'm working on the mesh part, and I'm gonna just show you one row of the mesh quickly so we can jump into the pineapple. And this is a fingering weight yarn, and this is actually the yarn that the pattern calls for. It's called Cascade Heritage, and you only need one ball, which is perfect because I only had one in this pretty purple color, and I'm using a 4mm hook. So normally, or no, not normally, I guess it depends on the pattern, but normally I will use a smaller hook with a fingering weight, but to get that really nice lacy look, you use a larger hook, and then you get a lot of open spaces. So we're going to start with a chain of 4, and that counts as the first double crochet and the first chain 1, okay? And that's, every row starts exactly like that. And then we're just going to work our mesh. So we're going to skip the first chain 1 space from the previous row and double crochet right into that double crochet, and then chain 1 and double crochet into that double crochet, And I'm just going to do that all the way across. So I know everybody's kind of stuck at home. I've been stuck at home, of course, doing a lot of crocheting, so it is a good time to get those projects done that you haven't gotten completed, or of course to start something new. I like this one because it's sort of on the quicker side, you know, just to do a scarf with one skein of yarn. It's not going to take me too long. So it's always nice to have a quick project on hand. And of course the kiddos are home from school, so they've been keeping me busy. So if you hear them in the background, it's just those guys. So this is just like I said, we're going to do a mesh all the way across to get us started for the pineapple. And I'm just going to kind of, I'm not going to go through every row of the pineapple because once you it's a little bit of a repetitive. So once you kind of get what you're supposed to be doing, each consecutive row kind of, it goes along the same lines. It just changes, your chain spaces change and the amount of little spaces you make for the pineapple changes, but everything else pretty much stays the same. So once you get the hang of this pattern, it's not very complicated. I'd say it's a good beginner pineapple pattern because you don't have to do any shaping. It's, you know, like I said, the rows kind of do the same thing throughout. So if you haven't done a pineapple before this, this might be a good project for you to start. Okay, so I've actually completed the first, that was row, I've completed the first 30 rows. So after you do those, then you just do a little mesh across. You do a few rows of the mesh, but I did one row, so I'm going to show you how to do the actual pineapple instead of continuing the mesh rows. So let me get back to my, starting on row 2. So you do, you know, the instructions, and then it says repeat rows 2 through 33 twice. So that's where we are. We're on the repeat. And of course, I put the link in the description to get the summer issue, so you can do this pattern. So it starts out with your chain 4, and then you work a little bit of the mesh. And then you're going to do a fan. So for this pattern, the fan is, I'm sorry, not the fan, you're going to do a V-stitch. So we're going to skip the chain 1 space and the double crochet, and we're going to V-stitch in the next chain space. So you're skipping this this chain 1 space and this double crochet, and you're going to V-stitch in here. So a V-stitch for this pattern is going to be 2 double crochets. So that's 1, 2. A chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets. And when I first started it, I didn't pay attention to the special stitches, and I just did my regular old V-stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and that was totally wrong. So make sure you check the special stitches because the V-stitch is a little bit different for this pattern. Okay, then we're going to chain 3, and we're going to skip 4 double crochet. So we chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to skip these 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochet. And then we're going to do double crochet, chain 5 double crochet in the next space. So 1, 2, 3, 4. In this space, we do a double crochet. This is kind of like a large V-stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. And then a double crochet in that same space. So that's where we're going to start working our pineapple into. Okay, so then we're going to do chain 3, skip 4 double crochet, and V-stitch in the next chain space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our V-stitch like we just worked, which is 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Hopefully you can see this okay. Okay, so now we did that V-stitch. Now we're going to chain 1, skip the next chain 1 space, and double crochet in the next double crochet 3 times. So that's a lot. Chain 1, skip the next double crochet, and double crochet, no, skip the next chain 1 space and double crochet in the next double crochet 3 times. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And just make sure you're counting right, because I think I skipped a stitch here and there, because there's a lot of skipping and repeating, so it can get a little tricky, but as long as once you get it down, it's not too bad. Okay, so we did that 3 times, and now we're just going to repeat from the star. So that's skip the next chain 1 space and double crochet, and then we're going to V-stitch in the next chain space. So we skip the chain 1 space and the double crochet, and we're going to V-stitch in here. Remember, our V-stitch is 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, all in the same chain 1 space. Chain 3, skip 4 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in this space we're going to do that double crochet, chain 5, double crochet. And that's going to be our other pineapple. So see how in the beginning you've got 2 pineapples. This is the start of them. This is what we just did. The double crochet, chain 5, double crochet. And then I worked a few rows where there was just 1 pineapple, and now we're going to go back to 2 pineapples. So it alternates that pattern like that. Then we're going to chain 4, skip 4 double crochet, and do that V-stitch again. Okay, so we did that one, okay. And then we're just going to do the chain 1 and work the end of the mesh. So the end of each row has that little bit of mesh. Okay. Now I'm going to show you row 3, and then after that is when it kind of repeats itself. So I'll probably just show you row 3, and then I'm going to show you how to block it. So we're going to go chain 4. And we're going to do our mesh in the beginning. Okay, and then in this stitch is where we're going to work the 9 double crochet into the chain 5 space. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that's how we start the pineapple. So once you get that base down, that's those sort of base rows, when you do the pineapple, I'm going to show you right here what we just did. So those are those 9 double crochets that we just made. And then you're going to do a double crochet chain 1 into each of those. And then you're going to do single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet across. And each time you're doing those, these chains here are going to increase, and these chain 2 spaces and single crochets are going to decrease. Now what you do here and here remains the same. You see how it's pretty much the same until you get to this part. You're just going to do those fans and that mesh all the way throughout that first row repeat. And then when you do the pineapple, you just keep decreasing your amount of chain 2 and single crochets and increasing your fans. And that makes the pineapple have this little shape like that. And then you just continue on with the mesh. So then once you do that, then you do a few rows of only mesh, and then you start the stitch repeat that makes 1 pineapple, and then you just start the 2 pineapples again. So that's pretty much the whole thing. That's how the whole pattern is worked. So it's kind of repetitive, but you also have to really pay attention to your how many chains you do here and where you do the V stitches as opposed to the pineapple. So once you get it down, it's not too bad, but you really do have to pay attention to all those stitches as you're going through it. So now I want to show you how to block this really quick, because a project like this, you're definitely going to want to block it. And you see how mine is sort of going out like that? So I think I may have lost a stitch somewhere, but that's okay because I can block that out. So what I do, I mean, you know, unless you're making this for, like you're selling it or something like that, if it's just for you, I will typically just, if I lose a stitch of like 10 or 12 rows back, I don't rip it out. Unless I'm selling it, I'll have to, you know, you have to rip it out then. It has to be perfect. But if it's just for you, I just add it back in and then block it and you can't even tell. So I'm going to show you how to block just this pineapple area so that way you can see how different it looks. So see how it's all sort of scrunched up. So you grab your blocking mat, and that's just one of these things, and this is a small one, so it's probably good for like a sock or something like that, but you can it comes like a puzzle, so you can put more together if you're doing a big sweater or a longer scarf like this. So you just take your pins, and if you have a nice mat like this, you can just block it to the lines. Block it all the way to the edge. And blocking is something that I recommend you always do if you're doing something that's lace. A lot of times with garments, I'll do it before you sew the panels together. So if you're making a sweater, before you sew all the panels together, you would block those out so they're like perfectly all the same size. And with this pineapple, I really want to sort of stretch it out up here a little bit where I've got the longest chains. I'm just going to sort of stretch it out like that. And this takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of pins, but when you're doing a lace type of project like this, it's definitely worth it. And you can steam block. The way I usually do it is if I have a garment, I'll usually steam block it, because once I've blocked out the pieces like this way with the pins, I'll steam block it, because that just sort of relaxes everything and softens everything up, and it makes it nice and soft and wearable. But for a lace scarf like this, I would probably just do what I'm doing now, which is a wet block. So sometimes you have to move your pins if you didn't stretch it out enough. And this type of yarn, which is superwash merino, it blocks very nicely. Acrylic does too. Acrylic yarns block really, really well. Once you block them out and wet it and let it dry completely, if it's an acrylic yarn, it just like totally stays in that space. It stays that way that you blocked it. If you're using acrylic, I wouldn't use the steam, or I would use the steam like far away, because if you get that steamer too close to it, it'll melt the acrylic, because the acrylic is just like a type of plastic sort of. So see how pretty my pineapple looks when I stretched it all out like that? And you don't have to stretch that much, I mean, however you want it to do. But so here's the one that I pinned, and here's the other one that's sort of sad and squished. But I like it better blocked out like this. And then I'm going to move my phone so I can show you what I do next. So then once I've blocked it all out like I just showed you, I just take a water bottle and then you just spray it. So you just spray it down, and you don't have to saturate it, just give it like a good amount of spray. And then I just set it under my fan in my living room, and in a few hours it's dried and beautiful, and it's got a perfect shape. And if you made a mistake like I did, you can block that out and nobody will ever know you made a mistake. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video today, the Blue Hawaii Pineapple Scarf. I'll put the link in the description if you want to get the summer issue, which has the Blue Hawaii scarf, of course, and lots of other fun garments for summer if you want to do some lacy, pretty summer garments. And make sure you subscribe to the Annie's YouTube channel, because I will be here every Wednesday at 1 with a new video tutorial, so you won't want to miss that. So subscribe, and if you hit the bell, then you'll get notified whenever we do new videos, because it's not just me, you guys. We have lots of designers and makers doing all kinds of fun things on the Annie's Craft YouTube channel. Quilting, sewing, crochet, knitting, all kinds of fun stuff. So thank you everyone for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye!